has really positive connotations. People think this is a chance for me to make a change, to have an impact and have my voice heard. Whereas, to be honest, according to a lot of the young people that I've met, it actually does have some negative connotations, including that it's confusing, that it's difficult to engage with, it's boring, or honestly, a lot of people do say, politics doesn't affect me. Now, to break the bad news to you, politics does affect you, whether or not you engage with it. Right now, at this very moment, politics is impacting and affecting your life. And that's why we at the Politics Project think it's incredibly important that you get a say in politics. I'm just going to share my screen here. How would you feel if I told you that in the last general election, which was in 2019, that 74% of people aged 65 and over voted, whereas only 47% of young people aged 18 to 24 voted? Take that in, look at those numbers. There's a huge difference there. Now that means people 65 and over are having their voice heard. They are making sure that the government and their MPs are addressing things that matter to them from their perspective and point of view. And it's not ridiculous to say that probably the things that affect and impact their life, their main priorities, are probably quite different to yours as someone aged 18 to 24. So if you are not speaking up for yourself, who's going to speak up for you? Now, this is why it's really important you have your voice heard, because if not you, who? It's incredibly important, and every single voice matters. So who can you vote for in this upcoming general election? Now, I don't know if you know this already, but there are, in fact, 98 different parties standing in this general election. And there are 459 independents standing as well. Obviously, that could be quite overwhelming. So here I've boiled down for you the main parties. A lot of the names you may recognize, some of them you may have never heard of before, but that's okay. I'm going to guide you through. So firstly, we have the Conservative Party. They are often referred to as the Tories, and they have been in power for the last 14 years, which is basically a majority of your life, which is kind of crazy to think about, right? There's also the Green Party. There is the Labour Party, the Liberal Democrats. There's Plaid Cymru, who stand in Wales. There is the Reform Party, and there is the SNP Party. The SNP stands for the Scottish National Party, and they stand in Scotland. As I mentioned, there are also lots of independent candidates, 459 in this election, and there are also lots of candidates and parties in Northern Ireland as well. Now, I'd like to take you through a couple of different policies that some of the parties we've just referred to on this screen here have put forward. So think of it a little bit of a game show, if you like. So we've got the Conservative, the Greens, the Labour Party, Liberal Democrats, Plaid Cymru, Reform and SNP. Which party put forward this policy? Every young person should study maths until 18. Have a little think. Which party said it? The answer is the Conservative Party, and that is our current government. Next policy. We should leave the European Convention on Human Rights. Which party do you think said it? If you're not sure, maybe have a little guess. You might surprise yourself. The answer is Reform UK. Next, and you may have actually heard about this a lot in recent weeks, as this has been a big topic of conversation within the media, particularly on social media as well. All young people should do a year of national service in the armed forces or a weekend a month of volunteering when they are 18. Which party do you think said it? The answer is the Conservative Party. Again, that's our current government. Young people, like you, should be able to vote from 16. Which party said it? Have a little think. The answer is, and you might be surprised by this because it's quite a few different parties. The Labour Party, the Green Party, the Liberal Democrats, the SNP, Scottish National Party, and Plaid Cymru in Wales. So quite a few parties promote that policy. Buses should be free for young people aged 16 to 24. Which party said it? Have a little think. The answer is Plaid Cymru. As I mentioned, that is a party standing in Wales. And finally, our last policy we'll have a quick look at is university should be free. Have a little think. The answer is the Green Party. So as you can see, there are lots of different policies that can affect you right now very directly. And next, we're going to talk about who can vote in the UK elections. Okay, so hopefully I've piqued your interest with some of those policies. You can vote in the upcoming general election in just a few weeks if you are 18 and over, if you are a British resident Irish or resident qualifying Commonwealth citizen, and if you are registered to vote. And that is something I'm going to be helping you with today. If you're not sure whether you're eligible to vote, don't panic. If you want to, you can scan this QR code here, and we've got loads of FAQs. We'll also have links to this later on our website. You can look at Democracy Classroom, and you can look at anything by the Politics Project as well. That will give you lots of information regarding the registering process and voting as well. So, how do I register to vote? Now, just to make it clear, we will have a chance to register later on at the end of this presentation. So if you don't do that just now, that's absolutely fine. All you need is 5 minutes, okay? 5 minutes to make an impact and have your voice heard. Now, all you need for this is where you live, your date of birth, your name, your nationality, and your national insurance number. Now, your national insurance number is something that you will have been sent through when you're 16 in the post. If you have a job, it will be on the top of your pay slip as well. It's important to note that if you are in England and Northern Ireland, you can register to vote when you are 16, but you can register when you are 14 in Scotland and Wales. And it's really, really, really important to get this done today, because the deadline to register to vote in this general election is tonight, midnight tonight. The doors close and your opportunity to have your voice heard gone. So get your phone out, scan that QR code and get yourself registered. 5 minutes is all it takes, okay? 5 minutes to make a change. But as I mentioned, we will have time to register later on. So if you don't have a chance to do that just now and you're not been able to scan, do not worry. There's plenty of time, but only until midnight. So hopefully once you've registered, you can start thinking about different ways to vote. You can go to the polling station. So that's going into a local space in your community that has been converted for the purposes of voting for that day. And that will be this year on the 4th of July. If you are unable to go to the polling station, you can also vote by post, or you can ask someone to vote for you. This is called a proxy vote. And we'll talk a bit about that later on. And you can also look on our FAQs. The post and proxy vote are more aimed at people that are not here within the country on the voting day itself, which is the 4th of July. So you've registered, you've got an idea of how you'd like to vote. If you want to vote in person, you are going to need a form of photo ID. Now, this could be a provisional driving license or a full license if you are lucky enough to have passed your test already. Congratulations. It could be a UK passport, and there are also a couple of other different forms of ID there as well. If you're not sure about what form of ID is accepted, scan this QR code here, and that will give you a bit more information. Maybe you are someone that doesn't have a form of photo ID, but do not panic. You are still able to have your voice heard and register to vote and vote in person. You can register for a voter authority certificate. Now, this is a form of free voter ID. So this, if you scan the QR code there, that will help you and take you through that process. And the deadline for doing that is the 26th of June, so not very long at all. And if you like, you can actually apply for a completely free form of ID called a citizen card. This is recognised as a form of documentation for if you go to vote. Also, it's recognised by some retailers, by the police, and also you can use it online. If you would like to get this free ID, the deadline to get this is this Thursday. So scan this QR code and get this completely free ID. And then you can use that in the election and also out with that as well. So we've talked a bit about the voting process, but you might want to know a bit more about who can I vote for? Who is standing in my area? So you can scan this QR code here, and there are a couple of different links as well that will give you a bit more information about the candidates in your area. So we have the Who Can I Vote For website, we have Voting Counts. And also, if you look on Democracy Classroom, which is part of the Politics Project, look at the FAQ page on there, and they'll give you loads of answers that will hopefully enable you to vote. Now, here we have some of the key dates coming up for the general election. So the general election was called just a couple of weeks ago on the 22nd of May. And incredibly importantly, the voter registration deadline is tonight at midnight. You do not have much time, so make sure you vote and register so that you can vote. We also have the postal vote deadline, which is tomorrow. You'll see the proxy vote deadline as well, the deadline for the voter authority certificate, and then the actual election day itself, which is really coming around fast. So this is my call to you. Wherever you are right now, get out your phone and scan this QR code. 5 minutes is all it takes to make sure that you have your voice heard. If you want things to change, if you want to put forward ideas, if you want to make an impact in your community, register to vote and vote on the 4th of July. I'm going to play a little video here that will take you through the process of doing it. It's incredibly easy. And once you've done it, you will be able to vote. So let me just push play there. Fantastic. And hopefully, as you are registering to vote, I'm just going to go through a couple of common questions that people have asked me about the registering process. Now, in terms of the name you use to register, it does have to be your full legal name. So this can't be a nickname or a name that you've chosen for yourself. You must register with the name that is legally on your documentation. Okay, that's incredibly important. Also, I'd like to talk to you about something called the Open Register. Okay, when you register to vote, you are enrolled onto the electoral register, okay, which has lots of benefits, which you can find out about if you go onto the FAQs as well. The Open Register, however, this has the same information as the electoral register, so that will have your name and address, but the Open Register also allows different companies to obtain your information. Okay, so that can be used for a load of different purposes. It wouldn't be just for the election. So that means if you're on the Open Register, all your data that you have given can be sold to any person, organization, or company for a wide range of purposes. So you can choose whether or not you're part of that Open Register. But if you do choose to opt out of the Open Register, it does not in any way, shape, or form affect your right to vote. Okay, you will still be on the electoral roll, but the Open Register is for you to decide whether you would like to be a part of. And that will be asked of you as you register. Okay. And finally, quick question about your national insurance number. Lots of you may be going, Sarah, I would love to register, but unfortunately, I don't have access to my national insurance number at this moment. Don't worry, you can still register without it, okay? And they may chase you up about it later on, but you can register without your national insurance number. So if that is something that is a barrier to you registering right now, don't worry about it. Scan the QR code, put in all that other information that I mentioned, and you will still be able to register to vote. And that's it from me, really. I just really, really wanted to say thank you so much for listening. And it's really important to me, and I'm incredibly passionate about this, as is the whole of the team at the Politics Project. Get your voice heard. Today is the day. Tomorrow, no good. A week from now, pointless. Today is the day. Register, get your voice heard, and vote on the 4th of July. Thank you so much for watching. Happy voting.